Hi, Steve Cooper, and welcome to another Rank Success podcast. This is the first podcast of 2022, so welcome. I'd like to start with a good quote, which I quite like, by Edith Lovejoy Pierce, which goes as follows: "We will open the book. Its pages are blank. We're going to put words on them ourselves. The book is called Opportunity, and its first chapter is New Year's Day." Well, it's the 3rd of January today, and on New Year's Day, the 1st of January, I was actually sitting down and just trying to work out the year ahead for Rank Success and reflecting, as you do at this time of the year, on your goals, your aspirations, what you want to achieve in your life. And for those of you listening to this, I'm assuming and presuming that you are looking to find out more information to support your aspirations for promotion success. So if you're one of those people, one of the thousands of officers who got promoted, who got qualified last year and got promoted actually, but if you're one of those officers who actually passed your exam, well done. There's a lot of hard work that went into that, and understandably, you're probably saying, well, look, I want a breather before I do anything else towards promotion. I'd just like to take some time off. So if you're a sergeant, you'll have studied through the spring, and as an inspector, you'll probably have studied through the winter. And whatever you have done to date, well done, because the process of promotion, if you like, is incremental. It's iterative. You've got to go through the steps as they arise. But the whole point around this particular podcast, or the topic that I wanted to call it, was around the theme of transformation. And I did say on a little video I've done on YouTube that I would spend a bit longer on a podcast around transformation to talk through some of the issues and some of the aspects around that, because the theme of aspiration in relation to promotion, the theme of transformation in relation to promotion is pretty consistent, really. And I always encourage promotion candidates to think that they are about to put themselves through a transformation process. And what I mean by that is, you may well be a good operational cop. You may well be listening to this saying, well, Steve, I'm a little bit further. I'm ahead of that. I am currently acting, or I'm temporary, and I've been doing it for a while. I think I've got a good idea. And I say, well, that's okay. Where are you on the transformation scale then? How are you putting yourself forward? How are you improving? What are you learning? And we can get into a conversation around that. So just understanding that theme, that you are choosing to put yourself through a transformation process. And in a way, a bit like the exam, there's either a right answer or a wrong answer. But by putting yourself through that process, you've transformed yourself from being unqualified for promotion to qualified for promotion. And whilst the answers, if you like, your responses there are pretty straightforward, they're either A, B, C, or D as options, it becomes a little bit more open with promotion selection processes and the different promotion selection processes in place in different forces at different times for different ranks. And then just as you think you've got hold of it, the goalposts move again. So I just wanted to kind of think about this theme of transformation and hold that space, if you like, in this podcast. And what I wanted to do is just reflect on some of the successes for my clients last year, and to use their insights, their feedback, their comments, their testimonials, if you like, or parts of them, to help shine a light on this issue of transformation. But certainly when you go from operational cop through to well-prepared promotion candidate, it's helpful to think about that as a transformation process that you're choosing to put yourself through. And what that means is it's perfectly okay for you to sit there listening to this and say, Steve, thank heavens you're doing this podcast, because I haven't got a Scooby-Doo about where I am on the scale of that transformational preparation. So it's good to come in and listen to something like this and to have some options. So I always point out in these podcasts, and will do at various stages through, that if you've got to this point and you think, well, actually, Steve, I'm going to come back and listen to this podcast later on, Of course, you can do that anytime you like, but you can also download you can listen to any of the free podcasts I do, the free YouTube videos, the free blogs I've got on my site, or if you want to take a quantum leap forward and really transform yourself, then you have the option of downloading a 4-hour promotion masterclass, which I recorded, and also a digital bespoke toolkit for you if you're going for sergeant or if you're going for inspector or chief inspector, which cover a whole range of issues to get you match fit and to help you as you put yourself through that transformation process. And with that in mind, there's a little quote here again. I use a lot of quotes through my materials because I find them inspirational and motivational. And this one is by Sir John Whitmore, and it says that people rarely travel far enough along the path of self-development to realise their full potential. And I think that sits really nicely with this theme around transformation, because hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of promotion candidates line up on the starting line each year for the old promotion race or selection process, whatever it looks like in your force. And it does look significantly different in some forces, depending what rank you're going for. I think that quote really sits nicely. How far have you travelled along the path of self-development, or as I theme it, transformation, in order to realise your full potential? And that full potential is realised when you're sat down and you walk into that interview room and you sit down on the seat for what should effectively be a professional conversation that you've prepared. You've done a depth and breadth of preparation. You've committed to that like you've never committed to anything before. So if you thought that the promotion exam was hard, stand by, hold on to the kind of mainframe, because if you really want to capitalize on that and convert that exam result, then you're in for a period of learning. So which I've kind of dressed up as a theme of transformation. And the great thing about that is it's not going to do you any harm. It's going to be completely relevant to you going forward. So while some people talk about this as, or you're learning buzzwords or you're learning, the right phrases to say, well, yes, I'll give them some credit to that. There are some things you can say that need to be aligned to the competencies, to the descriptors in those competencies, but more importantly, for you to understand much more broadly than that when you're using them, how you're using them, and how you're using them to kind of emphasize and reflect certain points around your own evidence and who you are and your values. So that alludes to a kind of broad preparation of familiarizing yourself with the competency framework by which you're going to be assessed. And for most people, that's the competency and values framework and the 6 competencies within that and the 4 values. But there's a whole load more in the mix. And it's a bit like a cake mix, if you like. If you think you're on a cookery show, you've got all your ingredients lined up, hopefully, as part of your promotion preparation. So you've got your examples lined up against the 6 competencies. You've got 4 values there, although there are more. So lots of other different flavours you can bring in. And you've got your descriptors. And it's a bit like adding them all into a cake mix. But the magic dust is you, your values, who you are, what you think, what your views are, and then how you practice putting those across so that you can have that conversation when you sit down in a promotion selection process, or you've got that real confidence, that real personal level of confidence that you worked hard to achieve when you're asked to step forward and deliver a presentation as the first part kicking off your promotion process, or a briefing, depending on what you've got. So this theme of transformation is there, and this is January. It's a time for transformation, it's a time for reflection, and it's a time about thinking about how you're going to go forward from here. So all of the products that I offer, my digital promotion toolkits, my promotion masterclass, and my one-to-one support is all available to you. You're not on your own. I was on my own years ago, as many other cops were when they were going for promotion, because lots of resources like I offer, so the free podcasts, the free YouTube videos, the free downloadable guides, the free blogs that I offer. There's a real body of work out there. So I try and reflect on when it wasn't available to me and what I would have liked to have had available. And so now there's this body of work that's available. There are these resources that you can download and really hit the ground running through a conscious decision to put yourself through the transformation process, using your time effectively, because that issue around time is really important. Your time's important. My time's important. We all have 24 hours in the day, whatever our other commitments. And ultimately, it's about actions and not necessarily words, because actions get things done. So the resources that I offer help you to take action, so that when you're commuting into work, as some people say, they're listening to these podcasts, or they are looking at the digital promotion guide or interview guide or examples and evidence guides on their iPads, and all the while incrementally, iteratively, if you like, improving their knowledge, raising their awareness, and pushing themselves through that transformation process. So just a couple of testimonials that I wanted to allude to. They're historic. They're not necessarily from immediately, like i.e. just before Christmas. I have got some just before Christmas that I'd like to kind of talk about, but this one really is from Anne, and Anne's a newly promoted sergeant who gave me some kind feedback to say that she had attended my masterclass. So this was actually a face-to-face masterclass. However, I recorded that masterclass now as a video, a downloadable video. And she said that before the class, I was very much focused on my evidence and me. And I didn't really look beyond what I had in front of me. And the class helped me to look at the bigger picture and think more about the organisation and how my focus should be about how my own experience fits into the needs of the police service. This just completely changed how I looked at everything, and it was like the penny just dropped, and I passed my promotion board and I scored well on my interview. So that's just a very short little insight into one particular candidate's experience of this transformation process, about where you start, i.e. where you may be starting now, and thinking that you know everything. And I'm not suggesting for a minute you would do that, although there is, what I find interestingly, a healthy degree of arrogance amongst some promotion candidates. And I don't think that's a bad thing, because cops like to have a go at something, show me where it is, let me have a go at it, and I'll see how I learn from that. And that's perfectly okay, because to a certain extent, we all learn differently, and that's one of the ways of learning. Just let me at it, let me have a go at it. Unfortunately, it can be quite a bruising and daunting kind of upsetting experience if you go through a promotion process and you don't do some meaningful work to prepare yourself, because you'll just get the feedback that reflects that you were unprepared, as lots of other candidates do. And many of them end up coming to me as a kind of last resource, not a final last resource, but sometimes it is really. I mean, there's one testimonial here I'm holding here that comes from Dan, who passed his sergeant's promotion interview after 9 years and 7 promotion boards. And the difference for him in terms of his transformation. So if you just imagine for a moment, 9 promotion boards over 7 years. Now, Dan's clearly got a growth mindset, clearly got grit and resilience to keep doing that. But can you just imagine the time? Can you imagine the emotional effort that takes? And often one of the things that I pick up with candidates who are at the beginning of their transformation process is there's a lot of gaps there, a lot of knowledge gaps. Generally, cops have got experience, but I find there's a lot of knowledge gaps there. So I'll just read out a little bit of Dan's, or I'll read his testimonial out, because it's an interesting one. I think what was different this time, so this year I fully embraced your masterclass and I passed. I think what was different this time was looking at the process as lasting a whole year since I was unsuccessful on my last board. Since then, I've moved to a new team and I generated a move to a new department. But this time, I saw the move as a CPD opportunity, and I ensured that I recorded evidence and thought of interview questions where I could use these as examples. The result of this was when I had to complete my application, I had a bank of questions ready to go. And the difficulty this time was too many examples. And when it came to the interview, I had a whole bank of examples to use depending on the questions. One crucial change I made was concentrating on the rank I was going for. And in the past, I've tried to use the most serious incidents I'd ever dealt with, trying to impress the board, but failing to answer what it was I was asked. And this time I concentrated on, I'm going for a sergeant's job. And I stopped thinking they were looking for the next chief constable, and I just gave examples of day-to-day work, proving that I could run a team and being a good leader and manager. And through better planning, it meant that nerves that hindered me in the past were reduced. Thank you, Dan. So a couple of extremes there, really. I mean, nine attempts over 7 years. I don't know whether that is extreme, but it's certainly one of the higher amounts of attempts before people have come to me, if you like, for some added value, if you like, some different perspectives. And in relation to the masterclass, that's the kind of thing that's covered. So if you download the video masterclass, I cover over 4 hours all these issues, which I can't really cover in podcasts or short videos. And it's yours. You can download it. You can stop it, start it, replay it, and listen to my dulcet brummy tones as often as you want to, until the point sinks in or until you can make it fit. As long as you understand that all of those points, all of this is around transforming you into a state of match fit readiness, if you like, for your selection process. So transforming really is I think a good way of where we are at the moment, describing going forward from here in January through the year. And I think most of the candidates that have put themselves through this and who are kind enough, and by all means, not everybody sends me feedback. I'm aware that there are dozens and dozens and dozens of people that have been successful on promotion boards, having downloaded my guides and looked at my materials, that haven't either had the chance to send feedback or guidance, or that I found out through other means were successful in the same process. And I think, life's busy as a cop, and if it's anything like I did, I got told I was successful on both of my promotion boards. I had a few beers and to celebrate, and tomorrow's another day. And I'm very well aware that some people are kind of put in harness, if you like, in the new rank very quickly. So as a new inspector, new chief inspector, new sergeant, and you're off. You're into that really crucial, what is effectively another transformation process, which is your transition period in the rank. So when you get those shiny stripes on your shoulders, or those pips on your shoulders, or that extra pip as a chief inspector, you're into another transformation process, that transition period of at least 12 months until they kind of sit nicely on your shoulders and you become one with them, if you like, in terms of your confidence and learning. Some of the aspects around transformation I wanted to cover, and there's a bit of feedback here from Nathan, who is now a chief inspector, who came as a sergeant to me, as others have come as sergeants looking to go for inspector. But they've done so much work to get successfully promoted to inspector that it's actually carried them through into the chief inspector success on boards. And Nathan's one example of that. So he's wrote here on some feedback from his first experience. After your masterclass, I was successful in promotion to inspector. Using the same techniques and with your support, I've again been successful, this time for a specialist DI post last week, which proves the high quality and durability of your content. And I received glowing feedback from my interview board. And I'd highly recommend it, Rank Success, if you want to win first time. Now, that is the benefit of transforming yourself, because if you do go for more than one role and you move sideways, laterally, if you like, once you've done the preparation, you understand the principles of preparing effectively for promotion, there's no real change to that. So there's lots of people who've come originally onto my masterclasses, which I ran at the Motorcycle Museum in the West Midlands, at Solihull. and also at East Hampstead Park at Berkshire, and a couple of others I've delivered around forces bespoke. And people have come on them, and they've come on as sergeants, and they don't need to come on a masterclass again, or download a masterclass video again, or have a digital toolkit. Once you've understood how to prepare meaningfully and effectively for a promotion process and put yourself through that transformation, it doesn't take much to get that fit again using the same principles. And as I said, Nathan came as a sergeant. He's now a chief inspector, and he'll probably be a superintendent within the next couple of years, I would imagine. But he's not the only one. There are others you'll see on my testimonials page that have done that. And it's kind of proof of the pudding, if you like. There are no guarantees when it comes to promotion, and certainly putting yourself through this transformation process, I wouldn't want to kind of give you an idea that that's a guarantee. You can't guarantee promotion success. There's too many variables involved in that. And when people do come to me, when they've been unsuccessful a couple of times in their own force, sometimes I always call it it's always emotional. It's always emotional. And part of putting yourself through this transformational process is you're investing your time, your effort, and your emotions. And sometimes I reap, or I kind of absorb, some of the emotional impact of that. So when people are unsuccessful, some of them feel as though they've just been rejected by their force. Often they have put in extra time, extra effort. They've been acting or temporary for sometimes 3 years. Now, that's got its own questions on whether people should be acting or temporary for that long, certainly temporary for 3 years. But funnily enough, when they put themselves through the transformation process, they can go on a board and have a different outcome, a different result. But in terms of their emotions, sometimes when I get those initial calls, I get them at the raw end of that. So, anger, frustration, disappointment, sometimes bitterness, sometimes, my force doesn't understand the CVF I've had. They never really listen to what I said, comes out. It's all emotional stuff, but that's okay, because this is emotional, and we need to kind of get that out, if you like, at the start of this transformation process, that you're choosing to invest your emotions in this, as well as your time, as well as your efforts and your knowledge and your learning, and to test them. So whatever your process involves this year, and it might be you don't know, but that's not an excuse to not start this transformation process. So as I've said before, how do you do that? Well, you can watch all the free videos I've got, read the free blogs, have a look at some of the downloadable free guides I've got, listen to all my free podcasts, and I think then you will definitely be orientated towards the tests ahead, even if you don't know exactly what they are, and you'll be in a great position. Now, you can do that for free. And you may then choose to download a video masterclass and really start attacking the stuff and put yourself through the mental and the kind of knowledge and the learning transformation that goes with that. So some of that may allude to what evidence and examples you've got now. Do you understand them as evidence and examples in terms of how they align to each of the competencies? Now, good people can use the same example to evidence each of the competencies. So one good example of attending a critical incident could align to each of the competencies and incorporate the values. Now, I wouldn't suggest you did that for a moment, because that's not a good way of you kind of putting all your eggs in one basket there. But I'm just demonstrating to you that as part of learning, as part of going through the transformational process of that, that signifies someone who's pretty ready for a promotion process if they can make one incident match any of the competencies and include the values as well. So that's just part of the transformation. There's one here about, so don't think that takes too long either. So I wanted to use these testimonials to reflect that everybody's different. So for some of you, yes, this podcast, and I'm talking to you now in January of 2022, start of a new year. So it's a great time to be doing it. But I want you to also think that this can be done very quickly as well. So some people put themselves through this promotion readiness transformation process very, very quickly. So 3 weeks of intense work can be done. And Alex here gave me a testimonial here, and he's quite honest in it as well, and I'll come back to that in a minute. Steve, 3 weeks ago, I bought your interview success e-guide. I was up against the clock in a very specialised role with limited time to prepare for my board. To be honest, I'd left it very late to prepare, as I was not confident that I'd be successful at the application stage due to my role in the covert arena. So he's got a covert role. I was notified that I was through to interview, and I had 2 weeks to prepare. After some research, I found your website and I purchased the interview success guide. And I honestly believe that it showed me how to make my evidence fit the abilities to prepare detailed, top scoring answers. Thank you for providing this service and helping me pass my sergeant's board. So that's an example, really, that if you put your mind to it, it can be done very quickly. But what Alex actually alludes to there also is what most people do. And, if we just hold that space for a minute, most cops do. And why wouldn't they just go, well, I haven't got a process. There's no process. We've not heard any kind of rumours. The jungle drums haven't started beating yet around a promotion process. But if you're someone sat here listening to this right now, that doesn't matter, because there's a whole load of work you can do. And when you do get to that stage, when they open up that process, you are going to be absolutely set apart from the competition. And there's a magic word I've just alluded to there in terms of transformation, is the competition word. So you can be good in a promotion process, and you might be able to get good quite quickly, depending on who you are, what your knowledge is, your experience, your current role. And that's not good enough, because there are other people in the process that are better. But forces actually only promote the best. And forces are in the luxurious position of being able to look at the candidates on a board, and they do a meaningful scoring process, and that encapsulates the top performers, if you like, the middle performers, and the lower performers, good, better, and best. Now, this transformation process that I'm talking about, if it's done properly, and I speak from experience, having consistently got people through again and again and again, to the point where they're asked to sometimes wait behind after a promotion board or come back in for feedback, and the board have asked them, how did you prepare? What did you do? You'd set yourself apart. There was clear blue sea between you and other candidates. So what does it take for that to happen? Well, it takes some time to stop now and to think about, what you're going to do going forward from now. I've alluded to some of the things you can do as options, and I want to make sure that every one of you listening to this can just get out there and make a massive, massive step forward in terms of your transformation for free. So as I've alluded to, free podcasts, free downloadable guides, free blogs, lots of them, lots of content there. That's for people who are interested, who want to start this process. But if you are serious and you want to be in the best category that go through, not just the good, then that's the difference. So I would always encourage people to start that transformation process, have a think about what it is you want to achieve, and you'll see some of the testimonials on my site where people use the words smash. I smashed my promotion board this year, Steve. And it's interesting for me to listen to some of the language afterwards, when people didn't at first believe that would happen for them, and yet they were where you are now, starting that transformation process. And as I always encourage people, just as they encourage top sprinters, you don't run up to the finish line and the 100-meter sprint. You sprint past that finish line at full speed. Smash it. smash the record. And when you're teaching someone to fight in martial arts, you don't teach them to punch the bag and stop. You teach them to punch right through the bag as though you're going to knock it into next week. Same kind of process, same kind of analogy. If you start this transformation process, you're aiming to smash through this promotion process. So that puts you back to where you are, working backwards from that outcome, if you like, that potential outcome for you, that you want to arrive there, set apart, the best you can be, the best prepared you can be, so that you can smash your promotion selection process and get good feedback. So transformation, very much a theme at this time of year, certainly for me, and certainly that I would encourage you as a candidate to think about. I'm just scrolling through a couple of my other feedbacks, and there is one here from Stacey, which I'd just like to kind of read out to you. Hi Steve, I just wanted to drop a quick one to say thank you for your podcasts, YouTube videos and blogs. My second time going for promotion, and they prepared me enough to be successful through the work-based assessments and final stage assessment interview for Sergeant. I especially liked your prep on a page, as it made it so easy to consolidate all of the work I've done in an easy to remember format. So that's a good kind of indication of the value of starting this process now. The plan on a page that she alludes to is one of my podcasts. So when you're ready, when you've been through this whole process, just before your promotion process, get it all down on one page, on one side of A4. It's one of the tips that I encourage people to do. Because anybody can have a great big folder of information. You're never going to be able to take any of that paperwork into a promotion selection process with you. So try and reduce it to one side of A4, and the next jump after that is, reduce it to a postcard. But whatever's on that postcard, you want to try and get across to a board. There's another quick one here. Hi Steve, I just wanted to give you a call. My name is James. So I received this as a voicemail from James, and I've transcribed this and it's on my testimonial site. I just wanted to give you a call. My name is James. I spoke to you a few months ago. I got some products off your digital toolkit. I've been listening to your blogs, watching your videos, and you signposted me to lots of different directions. I'm over the moon. I'm amazed I passed my board today. So thank you for that support, and thank you for all that you're doing for people out there. You're making a massive difference in helping to guide us through this process. So just a message to pass on my appreciation. I mean, that's manna from heaven for me, because it kind of proves what I'm saying to you in a way. Whether you act on what I'm saying to you is something I can't control. But all I try and do is to provide that background information, a bit of inspiration, a bit of motivation, although that motivation's got to come from you, just to kind of signpost them directly to the right places. I'm just going to finish with the last one here, which is from Mark, another sergeant. I mean, I could go on reading you inspectors and a couple of chief inspectors. I'm writing a current series of blogs at the moment about women in leadership in policing, and that's good for aspiring women to read, but I also want aspiring male candidates to read it as well, because there's a lot of stuff in there that's relevant to both in terms of diversity, equality and inclusion. But this one is from Mark, a sergeant, and he says, good morning Steve, a testimonial for you and to help any of those candidates pondering whether to invest in themselves. Well, I invested in myself and it paid off. This was my third attempt at promotion from constable to sergeant. I passed the previous 2 exams but failed to get over the line. I found very little help within the service, but as I received my results for the 3rd exam, I discovered your services through your YouTube channel. I immersed myself with all the tips and guidance from your videos, which are brilliant, but I soon realised I needed to get everything down on paper and my examples sorted. I downloaded the free guides, 7 things that promotion boards look for, and the Promotions Frameworks Guide to start to understand the CVF and what was expected of me. And I then purchased the Sergeant's Digital Toolkit, excuse me, promotion evidence, what works, and the interview preparation and questions to really nail down how I was going to deliver my examples and to ensure that I was on the right track. I knew I needed practice and feedback for my interview prep, so I got in touch and had two one-to-one sessions via Skype with you that proved invaluable. I do not for 1 second believe that I would have covered any of the ground we covered that really opened my eyes as to what is expected of a first-line leader. Even with nearly 15 years of service, I wanted to be the best sergeant I can possibly be, and your help didn't just get me over the finishing line this time, it has broadened my knowledge and learning to take it into the role and hopefully further. I just wanted to thank you for your support and guidance and to recommend you to as many people as possible who share the desires I have to achieve in our vocation. So, I mean, I could go on with the testimonials, but I hope that I've been able to use some of them to support my case for encouraging you to think about what you're about to do as a transformation process, and whether you've done it before or not. Just keep that thought in mind. You are putting yourself through this process intentionally to get an outcome that you want to achieve for you, your family, whether that's for money, increased pay, or whether it's for a different perspective in the organisation, or whether you want to kind of jump up the rank ladder over a period of time. Just think about the fact that it's an intentional process you're putting yourself through. And for me, it's definitely the people that commit to that preparation and that transformation beforehand that tend to shine through consistently again and again and again on promotion boards. And I'm sure that most people who sit on the other side of the table for promotion boards would reflect the same kind of feedback, that it's a pleasure for them to see well-prepared candidates who have clearly put the work in before, and that there's a massive contrast between those that do that and those that are flying by the seat of their pants, winging it. That might have worked a few years ago, but it won't work now. So if there's one thing, just to kind of finish, the whole theme of this is around transformation. It's a new year, it's a new dawn, it's a new week, and you have options. So if you're someone who does want to get promoted this year and you want to do everything you can, start now. It doesn't matter if there's a process coming up in the summer or at the end of the year. Start now and start that momentum, get that traction and start moving forward. Everything you need is available. It wasn't when I went for promotion, and I want it to be available for as many cops in the UK going for Sergeant Inspector or Chief Inspector. As I've said, you can download a digital promotion toolkit bespoke to preparing for your rank, a 4-hour promotion masterclass. There's a 20% discount saver code that's always available, which is RSGuides20, all block capitals, all one word, no gaps. You'll see it advertised across my site. Whatever you choose to do, I wish you all the very best, but I hope I firmly planted a seed now in January in your mind as an aspiring candidate, that you might want to think about committing yourself now to a transformation to get to be the best you can be. So that means looking at your diary, clearing some space, allowing some time, making this a priority, or maybe the priority for you this year. And whatever you decide, I wish you all the very best. And until my next podcast, take care and stay safe.